It's sports. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a crazy, crazy time in the world of sports right now. And big information coming out yesterday regarding who's up and available for the Heisman, which teams are in the playoffs, which teams are not. And here to discuss it all, Father Matt Frisbee. Good morning, Father.
Hey, Father.
Oh, good morning, Dave and Ron, and all our listeners. So much to talk about, specifically in the world of football. You mentioned college football. We'll get there, but let's just briefly talk about the Browns,
Okay.
who lost in a very Browns manner.
Yeah, I'd
on
say so.
Sunday. They were kind of supposed to salvage my sports weekend after Ohio State lost Saturday, and Central Catholic got beat up in the state title game against Bishop Watterson on Friday, and Browns were playing the worst team in the league, and they lost, of course. But, down 2 touchdowns, they came back. Shedeur Sanders, lots of passing yards.
Yeah.
Harold Fannin, the tight end out of Bowling Green, great game. And they score a touchdown. All right, now they're down by 8. Extra point puts them within, just score another touchdown, extra point, tie up the game. What do the Browns do? They decide to go for 2 for some inexplicable reason.
Yeah.
And they botched the snap. Now you got to score touchdowns, and you must get a 2-point conversion to tie up the game. And they score that touchdown, and they botch the next 2-point conversion. So I just don't get why you don't kick the extra point that first time around. But I'm just a priest. What do I know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Apparently more than the coaching staff.
And Shedeur is doing a great job. So we need a 2-point conversion. So let's run the ball. And by the way, let's have our tailback throw the ball instead of Shedeur, who's actually completed some passes and done a decent job.
Right. Well, and it was clear Quinshon Judkins was supposed to hand the ball off to a guy, zooming around, and he forgot. And, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
So,
like you said,
we'll talk
losing in Browns fashion.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So of course Ohio State played Indiana Big Ten championship game 1 versus 2.
Yeah.
And it looked like 1 versus 2.
Yeah.
And of course Indiana gets the win. You got to give them credit. They did a lot of things on defense. Their defensive line really gave Ohio State's line fits all night. And Ohio State, though, did a lot of things to shoot themselves in the foot. Going for it on that 4th and 1 around the 5-yard line, not getting it, missing the field goal there to tie it up. But I think the other thing that has to be stated is they got in the red zone and they took their best players off the field.
Yeah.
They went into 3 tight end sets and took Carnell Tate off the field and Brandon Ennis. And I would just say keep your best players in the field. I said last week, if Ohio State plays to their strength, they win. They did not play to their strength.
Right.
Oh, and I mean, the offensive scheme just seemed a bit askew the whole game.
Right. And now there are 2 things that we can say to this. The first would be last week, Brian Hartline, Ohio State offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach, hired as the head football coach at University of South Florida. How distracted was he? The other thing I would say, though, is it is hard to beat a team twice in a season. And if Ohio State's able to win their 2 games, they got to beat whoever the winner of Miami and Texas A&M is, and then we assume they would face Georgia, whoever Georgia would play.
Right.
Let's say they were to face Indiana again. Beating a team twice in a year is difficult, and for Ohio State, we remember last year, for the playoffs, they lost the game 13-10. Field goals were missed. It didn't look like they played to their strength. You hope this kind of gets them to refocus and, get back at it. Nick Saban, and I don't know if it was yesterday or if he had just said this in the past, very few of his Alabama teams went undefeated the entire season.
Right.
And he said they usually needed to lose because they were getting complacent, they weren't focused. You kind of hope that's the same for this Ohio State team.
Look, the Michigan loss last year was the fuel that gave us what we needed to win the national championship. So you'd have to say, in some ways, it just as you're pointing out, it could be a blessing in disguise.
Right. I mean, you obviously want to win, and you want to win the Big Ten championship and go undefeated. But how much – and, you're coming off a big emotional game, beating Michigan too. I mean, there's all that going on, and but now you focus because we're going for the national championship here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to take just a minute and have you talk about, and just with an idea. I know we've got lots of Notre Dame fans out there, including my lovely wife. How this whole thing with Notre Dame being left out, one, them being left out, and then two, how that's been handled by the very esteemed University of Notre Dame.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've got this 12-team playoff in which two of the spots were automatically, you've got conference champions, they're put in there, and then, this group of five, and we see two spots are taken up by Tulane and James Madison.
Yeah.
And if you look at the actual rankings, if it weren't for the fact that those spots were reserved for them, neither of those two teams would come close to being in it.
That's true.
And so, of course, that left out Notre Dame and that left out BYU and
Vandy. I thought Vandy had a good argument for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so that leaves out Notre Dame, who lost their first two games of the year to teams that are in the playoffs, and they lost both those games probably by a combined 4 points, I think it was.
Right.
So, unfortunately for Notre Dame, they get left out. Now, here's where I think some Notre Dame fans won't like hearing this. You're not in a conference. If you're in a conference, probably a good chance they're in.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing. And now, of course, then they decided we're not going to play a bowl game. And I heard last night that's going to cost ESPN something like $32 million by them not playing in a bowl game. So that's something there. But on another level, and I think I heard that it was Notre Dame players who voted on not playing in a bowl game.
Yeah, I saw that
The
too.
sad thing about that is for a lot of the players on that team, the bowl game is their last game, and they will not get that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when you point out to a very dedicated Notre Dame fan that they're not in because they haven't joined a conference, it could get you punched in the face, and I learned that from my wife Eileen yesterday. And so I just am very careful about that. Man.
Oh, yeah.
Any prediction on who gets the Heisman?
That's a good question. They'll probably give it to Mendoza from Indiana.
Yeah.
But we'll see. The other thing, just briefly, how about if we just had a 4-team playoff? Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech.
I love
that right there. Is
man. That would be good.
That. Yeah. Wow. And ESPN could make over $32 million on that.
There you go.
Father Matt Frisbee, thank you so much.
Thank you, Father Matt.
And thank you. Have a great day. God bless.
OH.
Hi-oh.
Hi.